what are really these option deeds and option contracts, and what are these different types of contracts that people basically go down the path of when we're talking about option contracts?
So to talk about call option contracts and deeds, let's start off with the normal contracts so they can get a better understanding. So normally developers, they like to get longer settlement periods. So they like to get a due diligence period, which gives them enough time to dig into the property. But it depends on the terms, they might lose the deposit. If it's a 10% deposit, they'll be liable for that. If it's a longer settlement, they'll be liable for the 10% deposit. So with this type of properties, we rather utilize a call option agreement. So call option agreements give us time. So really what it is, it's a tool that gives you time prior exchanging into a contract. So it's still legally binding, but it gives the buyer the opportunity to pull out without incurring taxes and having to pay a deposit. And so that's a call option agreement. And then there's also a put and call option agreement. So a put and call option agreement is different as...
You can stop there, Melissa. So when you're calling the option, the right to call basically sits with the purchaser. Is that right?
Yes. So if it's a call option agreement, the right sits with the purchaser to call and move forward or to back out. But a put and call means that the vendor can enforce you to purchase the property. So for me, put and call option agreements are not something I've never utilized it, and I don't think it's something I would utilize, because when it comes to these development properties, as we know, there's a lot that could go wrong. So your job is to find out if the property is worth what you're paying for and it works. Otherwise, if you're doing 50 due diligences a year, you're paying a lot of deposits. Yeah.
Yes. And it's important for viewers and listeners to understand that, the option contracts also works because it's not also the time, but you're paying a premium or slightly premium for the property or an option fees with the property because you can, right? Because there is enough profit margins in the deal for you to basically go out there. And you're creating typically a win-win scenario at both ends, right? The purchaser is happy because they're getting a lot of time on hand. And they're not basically, legally abiding to the liabilities. So they're legally abiding to the contract, but they're not legally abiding to the liabilities. They can pull out if the deal doesn't work, right? It's technically a really long due diligence clause, if you think about it, right? That gives them the right to basically exit the property at any given point in time. And from a seller's perspective, it gives them an opportunity to seek that higher price. It also gives them an opportunity to basically stay in the house while having a rock solid agreement in place that they know that this settlement is going to happen in 2 years, and so they can go out and find another dream home, or if they're downsizing, they can basically build something somewhere else on the side. So it's a typical win-win scenario that you're basically doing with the option.
Yes, and what it also does, it gives the vendor clarity, because most of the times they do not know what can be done on the properties. So it gives them that clarity that you can find, you are going to use your own money and time to find out if their property can be developed or not. If there's particular easements, if there's, it could be heritage listed, it could have some Aboriginal artifacts, it could have some, there's a lot of things that come into play. So it gives them that clarity as well. So if the deal doesn't go ahead, then they still know why